The next method of payment is letter of credit, or in short LC. LC is a payment instrument which is governed by a number of international rules and guidelines. The most important guideline is Uniform Customs and Practice for Documentary Credits, or UCP 600. This is the primary rule or guideline governing the operation of an LC, and it is also a source of reference in courts and arbitration tribunal. The second guideline that governs the operation of LC is International Standard Banking Practice, or ISBP 645. The ISBP 645 provides checklists of procedures in examining the documents presented under LC in addition to UCP 600. The third one is International Standby Practices, or ISP 98. These international rules are intended to be applied to standby letters of credit in relation to performance, financial, and direct pay. Standby LCs are not meant to be used for commercial trade purposes, but more of a guarantee rather than for payment for goods exchange process. Next is URR 725. These guidelines serve as a checklist for reimbursement arrangement between bankers, for example, issuing bank and confirming bank and negotiating bank, issuing bank and negotiating bank, and so on. The other important guidelines in LC operation is Incoterms, or International Commercial Terms. This is the guideline that spells out the distribution of risks, costs, functions, and obligations of the seller and the buyer. And the last one is SWIFT, or Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. SWIFT provides a platform that allows bank and financial institutions to send and to receive monetary and non-monetary messages through an electronic medium. All the messages are standardized in certain format for easy reference. So what is letter of credit, or LC? Letter of credit is also known by many names. Among other is documentary credit, commercial letter of credit, or just letter of credit, or credit. All these names refer to the same instrument, that is letter of credit, or LC. LC is defined in Article 2 of UCP 600 as credit means any arrangement, however named or described, that is irrevocable and thereby constitutes a definite undertaking of the issuing bank to honor a complying presentation. Now, from this definition, there are important keywords that we need to know, because these keywords make up the meaning or definition of the LC. Number one is issuing bank. Second is irrevocable. The third one is definite undertaking. The fourth one, complying presentation. These are the keywords that make up the meaning or definition of an LC. And the best way to understand the meaning of this definition is by looking at this illustration. Now, the issuing bank acts on the instruction or at the request of a buyer. Upon receipt of this instruction or request, the issuing bank will issue the LC. When the issuing bank issues an LC, the issuing bank is said to have issued its definite undertaking, its promise, or you can call it a written guarantee. This undertaking or written guarantee is irrevocable. In other words, once it is issued, it cannot be cancelled or revoked. These are two most important characteristics of an LC, or the nucleus of an LC, because the ultimate objective of an LC is to make a payment. LC itself is an instrument of payment. Now, the other important thing concerning the irrevocable undertaking to make a payment is that the payment under LC is conditional. The payment under LC is subject to strict compliance to the terms and conditions contained in the LC itself. The only way to prove compliance is in writing, that is in the form of documents. The documents presented to obtain payment under an LC must strictly comply to the terms and conditions expressly stated in the LC. And the party who is responsible to present the complying document is the seller. So the seller is obligated to present documents that comply to the terms and conditions of an LC. as a condition to obtain a payment under the definite undertaking that is irrevocable in the form of an LC issued by the issuing bank at the request or on the instruction of the buyer. Once the sale contract is concluded between the buyer and the seller, the buyer is obligated to provide an instruction to his bank to issue an LC to the seller. So upon receipt of the instruction, the bank will issue the LC as instructed. The issuing bank will redirect the LC electronically to its correspondent bank in the seller's country. The buyer's bank now is also known as the issuing bank. So from the advising bank, the LC will be redirected to the seller's bank, and the seller will get the LC in the form of a hard copy. So this is how the flow of issuing of LC takes place. The advantage of using this method of payment is that the buyer is assured that payment will only be made once the seller presents complying documents. The seller, on the other hand, will still retain the shipping documents and the title to the goods until the buyer makes payment.